My dad has taught me many things. A good work ethic, how to tell the difference between a cover 2 and a cover 3 defense. That's football, for those of you who don't know that. Also, to look somebody in the eye when you first meet them. Now, none of these things were as important as the one thing he gave me, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Now, my dad was not a part of the sex talk. That job fell to my mother. So she sat down, my sister and I, and we read a book together. You can imagine what that book was like. But in the book, I kind of learned how babies were made. That's about all I got out of it. And I remember, though, in the book, we talked about the mysterious erection. Now, the erection, right, I knew what was going on there, but I really didn't want to tell the truth. It was embarrassing. So I told my mother that, yeah, that happens to me when I have to pee. She didn't buy it, but I thought, you never had an erection, so how would you know? So I really thought I could pull a fast one on her, but as I grew older, obviously, I think she knew what an erection was. But after that talk, my dad approached me and he asked me, how did it go? I'm like, it went good, I don't know what else to say, really. I could tell he was uncomfortable, though, and he didn't really want to talk about it. But he did tell me one thing, and this is that thing that really stands out for me. He said, never make a woman do something she does not want to do. At the time, I'm, going through puberty, I'm in middle school, I didn't really know what that meant, to be honest. I don't know about you all, but my middle school relationships were like sitting together at lunch. That's about it. I might have carried her books, I don't know if we did that back in the day or not. But as I got to high school, it made more sense. I saw my friends pressuring their girlfriends to have sex, and I stuck to the values that my dad taught me. Partly because I was really scared of my dad. I definitely feared my dad. I mean, this is not going to sound too scary, but my dad's 5'5", but 180 pounds, all right? So he's packed in there. He's 62 years old, and he still works out. He texted me the other day, which is ironic, he texts, because when he was younger, he wouldn't even know how to turn on a computer, but he texts now. And he texts me, I just got some anxiety, so I ran 3.3 miles. Okay? Good for you. But, I didn't say that, obviously. But, at that time, though, as I was in high school and fearing my dad, I had a reason to, though. My dad's a football coach. He's been a football coach for about 40 years. And he really wasn't very encouraging to me when I was growing up. He was very strict. Whenever I would go out, he would smell my hands and my breath when I got home to make sure I wasn't smoking or drinking, which I did not. And he would also, just to kind of show you how tough he was, or stupid, I don't know which one it is. But he would come home from football games and he'd have this big cut across his head. My mom eventually confronted him, like, what's going on? And he said, I'm headbutting the players before the games. And they have their helmets on and he has nothing. So that's my dad. So needless to say, I was pretty scared. And when I was about 19, I realized, I just don't like the relationship I have with my dad. So I saw therapy. I went to talk to somebody about that, and I kind of got, talked into it because it was extra credit for a class. So I don't know if it would have went otherwise, but I did. And I expected this woman, who was my therapist, to tell me that your dad's right. Just suck it up, deal with it, too bad. That wasn't the case. She really understood why I was so hurt and why I was so angry with him. because we didn't have a very good relationship. So I saw her for a while for the extra credit, right? And that lasted a semester. But then I thought, well, this is something I really enjoy. It's helpful. So I decided to go to counseling some more. And I saw this man at the student counseling center at the university I attended. And it took a while, but he encouraged me to confront my dad. And I was a little scared. So I wrote him a letter. And I sent the letter. And then he called. And then I wouldn't answer the phone. I really wasn't sure I wanted to talk to him. But eventually we did talk. We went to dinner, which isn't the best time to do it, to be honest. We're in a restaurant, but maybe it was good for both of us because we were pretty nervous, and I don't know if we really wanted to have the talk, but we did. And the first thing I said to my dad, and excuse my language, but I said, "You're fucking average." I said that because my dad had always told me, don't be average. My parents were getting divorced. And I blamed him. I really did. Because I knew I didn't like him. And me and my mom and my sister would always kind of gang up and be like, can't wait till he's gone. So I really blamed him. I expected when I said that to him, because that's not a nice thing to say, that he would react poorly to that. But he didn't. He said to me, that's exactly what I felt when I was your age, and how I felt about my father. Now, my dad was physically abused growing up. He was really good at sports, he really was. He still holds records from Pennsylvania. Football's good there too, by the way. Maybe not as good as Texas, but whatever. Look at all the NFL quarterbacks, they're all from Pennsylvania, so anyway. But he was really good. And when he had a bad game though, he knew he would get physically abused by his father when he got home. So he would stay at his girlfriend's for 3 days until my grandfather calmed down. Now my dad never laid a finger on me, but he could definitely be emotionally abusive. So at that time though, when we were having this talk and he said he understood me and that he wanted to work things out, I started to realize that me and my dad had some things in common, and that we could use each other for support and work things out. I'm happy to say that now my dad and I are best friends. We text a lot, ironically enough. He doesn't spell very well, but he tries. But part of the reason he texts is because he's a college football coach who has to text high school kids. So he had to learn how to do it. It wasn't really for my benefit, but he does it anyway. He's really an amazing person. He knows he's made mistakes, and he's told me them, he's apologized. And I really wish I could be half the man that he is. Now, in terms of being a man, that's something that's a whole other story, and I know I've struggled with. And I know that when we had that talk, we both struggled with that. He wasn't sure how to parent me given the experience he had. And I still struggle with that too. I definitely get criticized a lot. I mean, my job's not real manly. I'm a psychologist. I talk about feelings all day. I like to cook. Cleaning's okay, I do it. I'm a big fan, but I do it. And as you can see today, I get emotional quite a bit. I do cry. And I do that a lot. And those things aren't really seen as being manly. And I'd like to say I'm pretty tough too, though. I did play football in high school, believe it or not. All 5'6", 130 pounds of me. And the program said I was 150 pounds. Now I weigh 170 pounds. Well, I play football now. But I did that. I mowed the grass while I had appendicitis. Tried to do that once. Actually, what happened there was I had a stomach ache, and my mom said, just lay down. My dad said, go mow the grass. So I did. 3 hours later, got my appendix removed. To this day, my dad will not apologize for that. He says, if you wouldn't have mowed the grass, you wouldn't have known you had appendicitis. I don't see it that way. But whatever. I've also eaten some light bulbs. You might say it's tough. You might say it's not tough. I might say it's pretty stupid. And it really is. But the reason I did that was because I was in college. I was at a party. The party had beer. I might have had a few. And the guys told me this would be really cool. The girls would really think it's awesome if you eat a light bulb. So I did. Girls did not think it was awesome. Guys did, but I identify as heterosexual, so I wasn't really going for that. But nonetheless, I have been criticized for, not being tough enough. But you know what? I don't really care anymore. I define what it means to be a man. And I really think being emotional is part of being a man. I think being able to talk to your dad about difficult things is being a man. I think respecting women is being a man. I do my best to do that. And part of the reason I do that is because a message my dad gave me that one day: never make a woman do something she does not want to do.